So welcome to all of you to Bharat Nutrition Week. I'm Nikki Gupta, CEO of Teamwork, a specialized media advocacy firm for health and well-being. We are extremely glad and honored to support IHW Council in its endeavor to increase awareness on food and its impact on health. It's an exclusive talk show on good food, the most important element for having food, health, and healthy life. What to eat, what not to eat regularly grabs the news headlines. But as a consumer, we always try to balance scientific advice and marketing trends with our culinary traditions and local food options. Eating right has always been important to keep ourselves healthy, but when the whole world is going through an unprecedented time, it's become more crucial to make right food choices. We need to figure out what to eat in order to keep our immunity intact and how to include maximum portion in our diet and how to be disciplined about our diet and health goals. So discuss the same. We have three esteemed panelists with us. I think they all are here. I would request all of them to please switch on their cameras. Okay, so I believe Dr. Shushma has not joined us yet. Okay, so she will join later. I'm sure she must be joining soon. So they all will give us more insight how to keep and how one can select right nutrition food to beat the COVID-19 and treat the new normal with healthy food. So I would like to introduce Dr. Halima Zidani. She's a general physician, a volunteer doctor at Project Step 1 to fight COVID war. She was done fellowship and in intensive care diabetes from Apollo Hospital. She has worked with Fortis Hospital, Wockhardt Hospital, and in Bangalore. She has been awarded as a best general physician in Karnataka, best teleconsultant South India by World Achiever Awards. We have Kanika Malhotra with us, dietitian healthcare at home, a postgraduate in therapeutic nutrition from Lady Irwin College, certified senior diabetes educator, bariatric dietitian, and practicing senior health coach. So both of them are with us here. And so let's begin. Meanwhile, Dr. Shushma will join. So Dr. Shushma is also joining us. She is a chief dietitian, Jindal Nature Care, who is joining us from Bangalore. Her expertise is in naturopathic diet, planning, educating, and conducting nutrition training in healthy cooking techniques, formulating vegetarian recipes which are delicious, nutritious, and easy to prepare. She has a vast experience in the field. Welcome all of you. Yeah. So I'll begin with Dr. Halima. So Dr. Halima, please tell me, how can we mindfully make our right food choices?
Hi, Nikki, and thank you IHW for having me over for this discussion. Basically, COVID-19 is a war which we are fighting right now. And when everything started off in March, the initial concentration was basically on the nutrition part of it itself. Since we in the early stages of March, we were still looking at the possible treatment and the possible things we could do in terms of helping the patients with COVID-19. The initial forefront management was with nutrition. The initial thing what we started talking to patients and conveying the patients about was about having healthy nutrition, healthy diet. In addition to the diet, we were also advising them supplements to keep up with the dietary requirement of the daily basis. This definitely went a long way. When we are talking about making the right choices, unfortunately, yes, of course, we do have dietary foods which are actually rich in particular vitamins, particular minerals. But unfortunately, we can't get the required or adequate amount of minerals or vitamins we require to fight against COVID-19. Hence, of course, supplements are also advocated at a very lucrative basis. We are actually telling them to go ahead and have multiple supplements. So let us just state it this way. Any nutrition supplement is helping COVID in three ways. One, to prevent the contraction of the disease. 2, if they already contracted the disease, to prevent the progression of the disease. And 3, if God forbid everything is over, the patient is already on ventilator and getting back from ventilator, it helps in recovery. Adequate nutrition and targeted nutrition helps in recovery of the patient. So let us see which particular vitamin or mineral is helpful in the 3 stages. Initially, talking about preventing COVID-19, I would definitely recommend very high amount of vitamin C. Vitamin C can be taken in terms of amla, in terms of oranges, in terms of kiwi, in terms of pomegranate. There are multiple fruits and vegetables which are very rich in vitamin C. But the required dose, that is around a prophylactic dose of 500 milligrams daily, might or might not be possible with the dietary supplement itself. Hence, we recommend all the patients 500 milligram of vitamin C in the terms of medicines like Linseed, Chu-C, Selen, anything. 500 milligrams daily, at least for a month. The full course, at least for a month, to prevent the contraction of COVID-19. The next vitamin, which is very important, is vitamin D. Vitamin D, I guess due to the lockdown or even due to our lifestyle changes nowadays, exposure to sunlight has become minimum. We are not stepping out. We are scared. People are scared to go out of their houses. Even, in fact, when the thing started off in March, people were worried to get out in the balconies and see what is happening outside. Everyone had locked themselves up. The windows were shut. The doors were shut. There is no way that sunlight could get into the rooms. So, unfortunately, we don't have many sources of vitamin D apart from sunlight and particular fish, which is actually very rich in vitamin D. And if you're talking about vegetarians, they totally lack vitamin D. This vitamin D plays a crucial role in regulating the immunity of the body. So how do we replace this? Again, we have to recommend medicines which is taken as once a week for a month. Then we're talking about zinc. Zinc is a mineral. It is a trace element which is highly required for the body's immune system to kick off. There are nuts and dry fruits which are very rich in in zinc. But again, of course, getting the sources in the right way or the right amount is difficult. Hence, we advocate it as a tablet. Right. So when we start off with these things, this is for the prophylaxis or the prevention of COVID-19. Once we have a patient already infected, what do we change in the diet now? We continue with vitamin C, but the dose is bumped up. Instead of 500 milligram daily, we recommend at least 1 gram daily. Now, what happens at this stage? The patient's complaining of severe acidity, they complain of diarrhea, they complain of multiple issues after taking vitamin C. But then again, we have risk-benefit ratio to be seen, and vitamin C is highly advocated during the acute infection. So we are convincing the patients, we are trying to put them on PPIs to kind of reduce their gastric symptoms and continue with vitamin C at 1 gram daily dose. Vitamin D is being continued and zinc. Apart from this particular, the particular change, the only change is we increase the dose of vitamin C and of zinc. 50 milligrams daily is what we advocate during the acute infection. Now, when the patient has already had a whole dose of multivitamins and everything, and unfortunately he progressed and went on ventilator. What does a ventilator do? Ventilator provides the adequate, the air or the required amount of breathing facility to the patient. But during the course of this particular event, the body loses a lot of muscle. There is a lot of muscle wastage. There is a lot of muscle, the whole proteins, the whole muscle mass in the body is lost. So, in the recovery period, we recommend very high amount of proteins. Of course, we see at that time if the kidney and creatinine levels are fine, then proteins in the form of dietary replacement or in the form of nutrition supplement. But proteins are highly recommended in patients who were critically ill and who are out of an COVID ICU. It helps to recoup their muscles, it helps to recoup their general strength, and it goes a long way in preventing muscle weakness or muscle fatigue, which is seen post-COVID-19. In the number of cases that I have treated so far in COVID-19, the recovered patients are basically complaining of weakness, lot of muscle weakness, muscle fatigue and cramps. And initially during the infection also, the presenting complaint has been cramps. It has been severe pain in the muscles, cramps in the muscles, and fever. So I think when we are talking about dietary supplements like vitamin C, vitamin D, and proteins, they go a long way in preventing these cramps or in making things worse. So definitely, I would advocate targeted nutrition supplement to fight COVID-19. It is a huge responsibility on every clinician to make sure that apart from whatever medicine that you're advocating for the patient, we have our own set of multivitamins and minerals to help the patient fight the disease. In this, I would like to mention an instance. There was a patient who was like, in fact, very scared. She had bouts of diarrhea. And as everyone knows, that diarrhea is one of the signs of COVID-19. She went to the hospital and people were, in fact, taking her for COVID-19. She didn't have any fever. There was no other complaint apart from diarrhea. The basic problem was she got very scared and took huge amount of vitamin C, which her body was not tolerating. And she was going on having diarrhea, and COVID-19 swabbing was done, it was negative. She had her stools done, it was negative. When I went back and checked over her requirement, it was that she had fed herself with vitamin C. This does happen. Do not panic. Nothing is happening. You will just have a bout of diarrhea and things will be fine. But do not stop taking your supplements. This is one message that I want to give to the patients today. Do not stop taking your vitamin supplements. Do not stop taking a healthy diet.
But take it in a right.
Take it in the right dose.
Right dose. Otherwise, it can also boomerang. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You may have bouts of diarrhea. You may have acidity issues, but it should not step you down from taking your medicines. You will have to take it on time and regularly as recommended by your clinician. Don't overdose yourself. Take it in the recommended dose and do take it. And the next important thing what I want to mention is about hydration. Apart from the nutrition input which I gave you right now, huge amount of water is deficit in the body during the infection. And the replacement has to be done. It doesn't work the way we were doing it earlier. It doesn't work that once in a while, when you're working, you sip a glass of water, you take a glass of water when you are really thirsty. No. This has to be again targeted. We have to have a replacement of at least 2 to 2.5 liters per day, irrespective of the kind of person that you are. Some people say, I'm very low on water, I do not like water, I don't take much good amount of water. But I guess all this has to be put back in the new normal. We will have to go with lot of water intake.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Halima, for so much insight. I'll ask the same question. How can we mindfully make the right food choices? Dr. Sushma, please tell us about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for calling me for this webinar. I'm really grateful. And I would like to share my insights about diet. What are the food choices you do? It makes you really healthy and disease-free. So we use food as medicine in naturopathy. So I would like to speak about food as a medicine here. So when you're planning a diet for an individual person, irrespective of disease, I'm talking to a normal person, like you should have many food groups included in your plate. Your plate should contain 4 types of food groups like vegetables, root vegetables, green leafy vegetables. Then you have your fats and oils. And it should be divided into different grams. Like when you're taking a vegetable, it should be 350 grams of vegetables in a day, and it should be like 150 grams of fruits in a day. And you have to take around 270 grams of cereals or other nutrients, other cereals like millets or anything. It should be together 270 grams. Then you have to have nuts around 20 grams. And you have to have pulses or legumes around 90 grams. So total together, you get around 200 kilocalories of the diet. And this contains macro as well as micronutrients. So if you have a plate of diet like this for a whole day, what happens? You won't be deficient of all these nutrients. Like we are talking about vitamins and minerals and protein and all that, you will never be deficient. So this is a plan everybody has to follow at home. Apart from this, we would like to say, please, you have to select vegetables, seasonal vegetables, which are locally available. cereals and grains which are locally available, and you have to include green leafy vegetables because they are rich in vitamins and minerals. You have to include probiotics in the form of food, like having curd, you're having soya milk, you are having soya products. You can include milk to it, add milk to it and have it. And prebiotics is also important. Omega-3 fatty acids are important, and vitamin A, B, C, D, as ma'am was talking already about D. So all these vitamins are very important to boost your immune system. So including all this in a diet is very easy. Once, if you think of a plan, like you should have recipes including all this diet. Suppose you want to add flax seeds, you can make salads and add sprinkle grounded flax seeds on the top. If you want to add omega-3 fatty acids like chia seeds and all that, you make a smoothie, you add these ingredients into it. You want to add zinc in your diet, you add nuts and seeds again. So planning recipes are very important, and heavy meals are not recommended. You have to have every 2 hours something or the other to maintain your metabolic rate. So in the morning, if you start your day by 6 o'clock, you can have a lime juice, jaggery. Lime juice is again rich in vitamin C. You can add jaggery to it, or honey, which is again a detoxifying agent, and you get energy, and it is natural and healthy. You can do that. Apart from that, you can add smoothies in your diet with all this nuts and fresh green leafy vegetables. You have to wash it properly first with a little bit of chlorine. Selecting foods is also important. Washing and having it healthy is also important. So when you cook your food in a right way, like if you suppose cook your food in a steaming or baking method, you retain most of the nutrients. And when you fry, you are killing most of the nutrients in it. So cooking methods are also very important. And when you're having green leafy vegetables and vegetable stir fry is good, steaming is good. And if you can drink smoothies, that is even better. So these are the important things, key factors which plays a very important role when you are planning a meal in a day. Most of them are not aware of all these things, but if you give awareness, I think anybody can boost their immunity through this. And seasonal fruits, like now you're getting guava. We always choose apple or papayas on a daily basis. We should select seasonal fruits like amla. Then you have guavas. Nowadays you're getting so many kiwi, so many things which are rich in vitamin C, grapefruits, citrus fruits. So if you plan this way, I think people will not be deficient of all this, micronutrients.
Thank you, Dr. Sushma, for telling us so many things about it for food, citrus foods and vitamins. I'll ask the same question to Kanika also. Kanika, please unmute yourself and answer.
Yes. So when we talk about mindful eating, I would say there are a lot of things. There are a lot of struggling because of the balance that we are trying to maintain when it comes to food. There is comfort eating. We are watching Netflix and we are awake till wee hours of the morning, and the cycle goes for a toss. Sleep gets disrupted. So it is very important to keep a tab on our habits. A lot of things which are trying to do these days with the comfort eating. So whenever you are emotionally disbalanced or you are under stress, the eating food is something that comforts you. So I think that is a very dangerous thing that might lead to faulty eating habits, and which might be difficult to change once we are out from this phase and once the lockdown is over. So we need to put a tab on our habits. We don't need to pick up habits which will increase to less physical activity and increase in overweighting. So I'll give you a very small example. While we are eating, so mostly we are not concentrating on food. Apart from food, we are concentrating on anything else. Either we'll be playing Ludo King, or we'll be playing Netflix, or we are watching TV, or we are talking. So mindfully, we are not concentrating on our food. Whereas we need to focus on our food when you're having it, when we need to chew it well, so that body gets a signal that, the food is coming in, I now need to stop. So once I'm distracted, so I tend to eat more. So I need to focus on my food. So when we talk about mindful eating, I think focus on the food. How many times I eat, what am I eating, how am I cooking, planning my food well in advance so that I know what is going in my meal, where, when, how. what kind of choices I'm making, the kind of food choices I'm making. Is it only the comfort food, the packaged food, or the processed food, or is it the fresh food? So like Dr. Sushma and Dr. Ali emphasized that, there is a lot of intake of fresh fruit and vegetables and all these things that needs to be incorporated in nowadays in our daily routine. But I think focusing on your habits is very important when you talk about mindful eating.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kanika, and all the three esteemed speakers giving us so much insight about the proper sleep, mindfully eating, chewing it properly, and having the right consumption of the vitamins. So Dr. Sushma correctly said that minerals get lost when the food is first cut, then washed, and with the extra water in which they are boiled and thrown away. So how can we ensure the nutrition of food is maintained while cutting, chopping, and cooking? I would like to hear from you, Dr. Sushma, first.
Yeah. So when you're selecting, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
When you're selecting freshly vegetables, what you have to do is wash it with clean water. Now, because of this COVID thing, we can wash it with chlorine, little bit of chlorine, or if you don't want to use chlorine, you can use vinegar, salt, wash it properly. Then you have to chop your vegetables in a larger pieces. Usually what we do is we chop into smaller pieces and we add it to the water and we leave it for say about 10 to 15 minutes. That's the wrong practice because all the water soluble vitamins get washed away. So you have to cut it into larger pieces and you have to wash it before cutting it. Wash it before, then you have to cut it into larger pieces and you have to steam the vegetables. Now our Indian cooking, we are used to, pressure cooking unnecessarily the vegetables. Now you need a pressure cooking for rice, you need a pressure cooking for dal because it has to be digested easily. But if your vegetables are very sensitive to heat, so you can steam them around 35 to 40 degrees and you can retain most of the nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin A and all that, B complex and all that. So you have to just steam it in a steamer for just 5 minutes. Then you can do your dal, tadka to your vegetables and all that. Sometimes what happens, we cook with oil. Most of our cooking is with oil because we think that the vegetables have to be boiled in oil and all that stuff. That is not at all required. You need to steam it and use these vegetables for your chop. Suppose you're adding a little bit of oil and you're doing a seasoning, you need to add these steamed vegetables to it and you get the same flavor with less calories, with less, destruction of the nutrients. And baking is also a very good method. Instead of frying and all that, we in Jindal, we make so many varieties of foods like baking cutlets, samosas and healthy pizza, burgers and all that we do here. And millet stringers, so many things. We bake it and we retain the nutrients in it. So methods of cooking is also very, very important. So these are the stuff. And when you're doing a soup, suppose if you're making a soup, so many of us, what do is we pressure cook them. We boil it in water. Instead of that, you can steam your vegetables and blend with water and add herbs to it and make it more interesting and healthy. So you have a lot of options. It's just that we need to explore how to do it. And stir frying is also the best method. You have to just stir fry the vegetables. You don't have to cook it very, very much so that you retain the nutrients.
Not to overcook.
Olive oil, you can use olive oil and stir fry the vegetables with herbs and all that. So it's very good. And eating steamed vegetables is also healthy. We can have dal, we can have steamed vegetables with herbs, sprinkling herbs, salt, pepper. That itself makes it more nutritious, and you taste the taste of vegetables. Most of our cooking doesn't taste our vegetables. We have to taste ghee as ghee itself. If you're eating a broccoli, it should taste its own. It should give its own flavor. And if you're eating, carrots, it should give you that sweetness and all that. But most of our cooking destroys all those qualities. So mindful cooking is also important when it comes to nutrition.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for telling us about the mindful cooking and using right use of spices. I think in Indian cooking, we use extra spices and
exactly.
and overcook the food. I would like to hear from Dr. Halima on the same. What do you think, and how we can ensure the nutrition of food is maintained while cooking? Can you please unmute yourself, Dr. Halima?
Yeah, as Sushma told that, yes, definitely overcooking spoils the whole nutrition pattern of the vegetables and whatever cook things that we are cooking. Basically, steaming is the best way that we can conserve all the nutrition or all the nutrient elements in the food. And eating raw, I would not recommend during COVID, because eating raw definitely puts you at a very high risk of getting infected. So, in spite of washing very well, in spite of washing with chlorine, there is an element of chance that you will get infected with raw salads or raw vegetables. Steaming is the best way to protect the nutrients, and definitely having the delicacy and relishing the particular nutrient and the particular vegetables or whatever that you're cooking. But yes, no to any raw food, no to salad for now.
No to salad for now.
No to salad for now, yes. Salad, I mean to say in a raw way, yes, I wouldn't support you, anyone using a raw, just cleaned and cut salad for now, because basically without cooking, anything that you eat could be dangerous. It should either be baked or cooked.
Okay.
In terms of COVID, I'm talking in terms of COVID, nothing else, because the COVID-19 virus is supposed to be staying on surfaces for 3 days. So we're talking about if you shop some vegetable now and you wash it now and you eat it. So you do not know where the vegetable was kept and who has handled it, and what has happened, what has surfaced through the process, through the whole process. So you might in turn end up consuming, getting exposed to the particular virus. So yes, washing, even if you wash with chlorine and you wash with any amount of, whatever, but still cooking is the best way. If not fully cooked, at least steamed.
At least steamed.
Yes. Raw vegetables and raw salad is a big no. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Kanika, I would like to hear from you, your views on maintaining the food nutrition.
While Dr. Sushma and Dr. Ali have covered most of the points, I would like you to make it a point that yes, specific do's and don'ts are necessary when we are talking about retaining of the nutrients or maximizing the nutrients we are using. We can bake, we can braise the foods, we can broil the foods, or maybe we can even poach the food. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be boiled and out of flavor. For example, if you are, braising the food, braising the food involves just browning of the food stuff and cooking it some sort of a juice, maybe like some lemon juice or some orange juice like that. So the flavors are also retained and it is tastier. Yes, we need to steam, we need to poach, we need to do all those things, but we can use a lot of herbs in our diet. There is thyme, there is rosemary. You don't necessarily have to use only salt to make the food healthier. So while retaining the nutrients, it doesn't has to be bland or tasteless. You need to boost the flavor while retaining the nutrition. The healthy food can be tasty as well. And you can use a lot of herbs like rosemary, thyme, oregano, red chili pepper, red chili flakes, all these kind of, they don't contain any calories. They add taste to your diet. Lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, maybe just drizzling the flax seeds to add that crunch and that flavor. So, healthy food doesn't always necessarily mean that we have to retain the nutrients, yes, but we have to, make it more tastier, enhance the flavor while we are retaining the nutrients side by side.
Absolutely. Kanika, you were mentioning about, binge watching, binge eating, and, during this time, it's a stressful time for the people, for the people. Out of instant stress relievers, like people go for junk food, smoking, and alcohol, how harmful are these things can be? I would like to hear from you first.
Right. So these are, yes, they are junk choices, because I think we need to make mindful choices, because we will pick what we have around. So if we place healthy snacks around us, like I I'll be having some time till lunch. So if you can have things like these around, just some vegetable stick or healthy snacks, or maybe some bhuna chana, or maybe some roasted your peanuts, or roasted makhana. So what is around you, you will pick all those things. If you're surrounded with all the colas and bhujiyas and cookies and chips, you will pick on that. Take my word. I mean, you are what you eat, like Dr. Sushma rightly started. So if you surround healthier things around you, you will pick those. If you are surrounded with stuff which is unhealthier, which is not healthy enough, or it is a comfort food, so you are bound to pick all those things. So you need to surround yourself with healthy stuff so that you pick things accordingly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So Dr. Halima, what do you say about the right food choices in terms of stress reliever? Youngsters, usually people are opting for junk food, smoking, alcohol. So how harmful it can be in this situation? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, initially when we started off with COVID-19 in March, there was a myth, circulating that consuming alcohol puts an end to the virus. And as you could see, after the lockdown opened up, people were lining out at the alcohol shop and I think drinking by the gallons. Definitely that is not true. It's definitely a very big myth that drinking alcohol cuts down the whole amount of virus you inhale, and the infectivity and the pathogenicity of the virus is lost. It is not so. And taking alcohol in long or huge doses can definitely put you at a risk for containing the virus also, contracting the virus also. And smoking, of course, harms your lungs. And getting into, a chronic smoker, getting into a COVID infection could be the worst thing to happen, because already the smoker would have had the worst case of issues with the lungs. Okay, the problem in the lungs might not have surfaced so far. So when we're talking about COVID, we're talking about fibrosis. Fibrosis is something wherein the lung tissues stop exchanging air. The tissues of the lung, they become like solidified, and the air exchange doesn't take place. Some amount of fibrosis exists in smokers also. So when a smoker who has been smoking for a long time contracts COVID-19, it could not be a very good news for him. Things can progress, and he might even require ventilatory support. So during this pandemic, I would urge people to stop their vices, stop smoking, and stop alcohol consumption. When we're talking about healthy eating, yes, I think as the dietitians, they rightly mentioned, snacking on nuts is a good choice. It contains huge amount of zinc. It again helps in preventing the contraction of COVID-19 and prevents the complication of COVID-19. So avoid high sugary food, avoid food which is very rich in salt, like pickles and papad, and like all those delicious kind of food. So just avoid that for the time being. Go very low on the sugar aspect also. And snacking on the nuts, any kind of yoga bars or nuts is a highly recommended thing for now. If you are hungry, if you feel that binge of hunger during watching a movie or something, you could snack on roasted nuts. Even peanuts is fine. And or these kind of energy bars or yoga bars would be a great choice to make for now.
But when we talk about non-smokers, if we talk about the air pollution, I'm just taking air pollution as a question here, because usually what happens earlier when the pollution was high, even the non-smokers were having the very bad situations.
They were having, yes.
What
please complete your question. I think.
What do you think? How can they do some quick tips, or what kind of things they should, everybody, a common person who is non-smoker but affected through pollution, how can they manage it?
First of all, I think now once the COVID has started, the pollution has decreased.
Yeah, that's
people are not stepping out for a long time. But yes, if someone already has some amount of allergy, some amount of bronchitis, which actually makes things worse during a COVID infection, I would recommend breathing exercises. Breathing exercises in the form of deep inhalation, exhalation, fast, rapid inhalation and exhalation, or in fact blowing a balloon. That is the best exercise you can do for your lung. Keep some balloons handy. If at all you are infected with the virus and you already have a background of asthma or a background of bronchitis, keep blowing into the balloons. Maybe the same one you can deflate and inflate again. And there's another thing called an incentive spirometry. It is actually a small, I would say is a small exercise kind of a machine. It just comes in a pocket size, okay, contains a tube. All you have to do is take the tube in your mouth and blow. There are three small ping pong balls inside that will move up and down as you blow. This will indicate the strength of your lungs and it will help your lungs to expand. Being an asthmatic or allergic bronchitic patient, because either of air pollution or because of hereditary issues, your lungs would have actually shrunken in size or inflamed. Okay, so this part of it can be expanded using either ballooning of, blowing the balloons or the spirometer. The spirometer, I would definitely recommend this if the patient having asthma or bronchitis is infected with COVID-19. This would be in terms of, say, 10 repetitions, at least 3 to 4 times a day. It is a cycle and you should not stop until your lungs recover, until your whole infectious period is stopped. Because the infectious period, unfortunately, is 14 days. The disease can progress anytime in the 14 days. Maybe 1 week you're totally normal, you feel you're out of it. And the second week you find yourself in the hospital with oxygen. This is happening. So the first week, even if you have very mild fever, very mild symptoms, do not slow down. Work on your lung capacity. It is very important that you work on your nutrition and you work on your lung capacity.
Absolutely. Thank you. Quite a helpful insight and, exercise that you have told. I'm sure our viewers will definitely get benefit out of it. Dr. Sushma, I would like to hear from you, as you mentioned that you make millet pizzas and healthy burgers and all. So how we can, avoid, junk foods and make it our junk food more healthier? Not junk food, but how we can make it interesting. I would like to hear from you on this.
See, in the market you get whatever the pizzas and all. Nowadays you're getting healthy as well, but you get through white flour. But here we get whole wheat flour. We mix it with other flours like ragi and millet flour, different bajra, jowar and all that. So 50% will be the whole wheat flour, and we mix it with other 20% other flours, and we make a pizza base, and we add a lot of vegetable toppings, and we bake it. It tastes very healthy, and it is delicious as well. And when you're making a burger, it is a whole wheat burger. In the stuffing, we don't add aloo tikki, as you get from outside. You get this potato, tikki. We make the vegetable tikki. They taste very good with different vegetables. We make it into a patty, and we take them and we add in between the burgers. So that is one of the healthy choice. And millets, like you're getting little millets nowadays. Little millets, the Bernard millet, so many kinds of millets. You can make them into cutlets. So you boil these millets like rice, how you boil. Add lots of vegetables to them. Mash it and make into shape and just bake it. So this is also one healthy method for for evening snacks. We have murmura. Instead of eating only murmura, you can add different vegetables to it, like grated vegetables like cucumber, carrots, and all that. Wash it properly. But as doctor was saying that you should not eat raw right now, so you can just stir fry and add in your this thing murmuras. And chana, you roasted chana you get, and you can make a small katori of roasted flax seeds, chia seeds. Then you have this pista nuts, cashew nuts, very little bit of all those roasted, and you can make a snacking type of item. You can add a little bit of salt. You can make it at home itself. So pumpkin seeds roasted, all that you can have it. And apart from that, you have smoothies as well. If now this is the right time to introduce all these things to youngsters, because they are at home and mothers are watching them. Most of the mothers are at home. So you need to inculcate this habit. Most of us think if we have to snack, we have to get it from outside or whatever is available. As the other man was saying that what is available, we rightly pick those things like chips and all that stuff. If you can inculcate these habits at home, like in the morning you can give some smoothies, and in between you can give a fruit, citrus fruits, whatever is seasonal. And every 2 hours, if you give something to the kids or youngsters who don't really, tend to eat this kind of a pattern because of the schooling or because they're busy with their lifestyle. They go to college and all that. But this is the right time you can inculcate this habit of giving something every 2 hours and not making them, feel bored. Every 2 hours, if you're giving something, they're happy, they're eating, and they're building some habits, good habits, so that they don't binge on anything. So all these things we have to start from home from now, I think. So I think we can together, help youngsters to come out of binge eating.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susma and Dr. Shushma. You correctly said usually youngsters and, for mothers and the kids, you put the right point here. When it comes to adults, they can decide mindfully what they want to eat or what they have to eat. But when it comes to kids, they are very fussy eater. How we can make sure that they are getting right nutrition and they are protected well from this COVID?
What happens is most of the time we allow them to eat what they want. So what we have to do is we have to give them in a very quantitative way. Like if you're not eating vegetables in a regular form, you have to add it in your idli. You can add lots of vegetables, chopped vegetables in your idlis, like some. When you're making idli, you can add vegetables to the idli batter and make idlis out of it. They look very colorful and they look very attractive. When you're making dosas, you can add chopped vegetables to them and make it more interesting. Instead of giving only coconut chutney, you can make different kinds of chutney like coriander with a little bit of coconut, tomato chutneys, imli chutney, sweet and sour chutneys, so that all the vitamin C goes into it, and so that different varieties of vegetables go into their diet. Most of them are fussy because they feel that this is eating the same thing every day becomes bored. So we have to make innovative recipes to them. And when you're making a upma, you can make instead of making regular upma, you can make a millet upma. We have lots of other things in millet. You can make a millet bisibele bath, curd rice. So you have to make it more innovative. You can add vegetables to it and make it more interesting. And once they start liking it, because every day the taste changes, they like to eat something new and into different shapes. The kids are very fussy because they see same thing every day, same taste and same thing. So different size, different shapes, colorful vegetables, including colorful vegetables, will make them more happy, and they would like to eat these kind of vegetables. Healthy diet with lots of colors.
Thank you. So I would like to hear from Dr. Halima, how can we, handle our fussy eaters in this new normal, and how can we make sure that they are getting right nutrition?
Yeah, as Dr. Shushma said, make the plate colorful and try to get out of them what exactly do they like, in the nuts. There are a variety of nuts available, so you can just put it across to them, ask them to make a choice in these particular things. Or maybe since chocolate is their favorite, and since the sweets are basically, kind of attraction to the children, you could just put in a bare minimum of chocolate flavor in that, and make something like a chicky or something like a bar, which is very rich in dry fruits. Maybe you could add cashew, we could add almonds, dates, and a small amount of chocolate in that, like a cheat thing. They get this whole, they get the chocolate provided they eat the whole package. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be one of the way to do it. And millets, as Dr. Shushma rightly put, it's the best thing to use for now. And replace all the rice with millets would be a great thing to do. In fact, instead of making upma with suji, we can also make millets upma. And instead of putting more millets, also we can put more of vegetables, chop vegetables finely and make it colorful and add it in the millets upma. So that the portion of millets is, and vegetable will be 3:1. If you put 1 cup of millets, maybe we put 3 cups of vegetables. So that the amount of nutrients remain high and it gets into the stomach as well. Don't put very spicy food, don't make too much of oily stuff, but try to balance it in such a way that their tongue as well as their the whole thing is fulfilled. Yeah, even the craving is fulfilled as well as the nutrient requirement is fulfilled. Maybe we could have something like small balls, dry fruit balls, like laddus, but rich in dry fruits and very, very minimum amount of sweets or chocolates in that. Or even the Zira peppermints, they come in. Yeah, we could put that somewhere in between dry fruits and give to them to have. They like those. They will take it as a kind of attraction. They will start eating that. So once they start liking things, more and more things can be introduced.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's very difficult with the kids these days that they're very aware. They're more aware than most of us actually. They know what is happening outside. They know what is the current situation which is going on, and of course, they have become very finicky staying inside. So I think we'll have to be very gentle in dealing with them and try to bribe them in the way that they would listen to us. I think that's the only thing that's
absolutely. You correctly said they are aware, but they are still fussy eater. We need to
still fussy because they are staying inside. And being indoors for adults itself is a huge task. For this little one staying inside for so long, not going to schools, not mingling with friends, actually taking a toll.
Yes. Emotionally issues. Yeah, Kanika, what would you like to add here on this to handle fussy eaters at home to get them right nutrition?
So basically, the fussy eaters, one way to deal with them is we as adults, we need to change our habits. So they grow up seeing what mama is eating or what daddy is eating, and they will follow your footsteps. So if you want your kids to eat healthy, if you want your kids to eat the right thing, you should start eating right. You should start sleeping on time. You should start getting up on time and maintaining that routine if that's what you expect out of your kiddo. So changing your habits, and of course then as Dr. Rishma and Dr. Ali has already covered various ways as to how we can incorporate healthy ingredients in different types of diet, in different types of food items. I think there is no limit to it. You can even make laddus out of whey protein powder. You can just add some nuts and you use whey protein powder and you make nice laddus out of it. Why not? It can be done at home. That will take care of the protein requirements, which mostly 80% of us Indians are deficit in. So, all these kind of, we need to be more innovative. We need to open more arenas in terms of how we can make the meals for our little ones more healthier. Yes, they need variety. Yes, they need color. Yes, we can add all bright red, yellow and green colors by using all colorful vegetables, whether we puree it or we mash it or we chop. But yes, variety is very important, and I think we should start growing more of kitchen herbs. Since this year's nutrition theme, one of the part of the nutrition theme is increasing, portion for podhas. So you start growing your own things, and it might be one of the activities to engage with your kids and involve them in the cooking aspect also. We all have master chefs in our homes these days. So it is good if we involve them also, so that they also know what is healthy. Why is it healthy? Why am I using that ingredient? Why am I using millet and not maida? If I'm trying to make noodles, why am I not using the 2-minute noodles and I'm trying to make it out of wheat at home, or maybe with the help of some other ingredient? So the more we involve, the more they become mindful of their choices right from the beginning. They know what to choose. They know what to leave. Why maida is unhealthy? You need to answer the why of it. Kids are very smart these days. You can't fool them these days. So you need to tell them, boss, why am I using millet and oats to make the idlis, and why am I not using only maida and suji to make the idlis? I'm just trying to incorporate more healthier grains, and why is it healthy? So the moment you start answering the why, they will get more convinced. And that's how you can handle the fussiness.
Thank you, Kanika, Dr. Sushma and Halima giving us so much insight about all these things. I have a small 2 tips I want from each of you on superfood. If someone is, what all food or nutrition one should have, though you have given a lot of detailing about the food and nutrition and vitamins one should have. But during self quarantine, when the person is already in stress, because many people are self quarantine, home quarantine. So what kind of a food nutrition, I would like to hear two superfoods from each of you, that what all they should include. I would like to start from you, Kanika.
So for me, yes, these days supplements are very much rightly required. So two supplements, if I would say, curcumin, which normally occurs in our turmeric, and foods which are good for your gut, your probiotics. They are the best superfoods, because the immunity comes from your gut, and you need to boost your gut so that your immunity starts getting boosting. Yes, we do a lot of overall stuff from the above, but then you need to hit inside as well. You need to hit the gut, and you need to keep that healthy. So curcumin and probiotics from my end would be the go-to foods.
Okay. Turmeric and probiotics. Dr. Shushma.
Yeah, I would suggest moringa. Moringa is a drumstick leaf, which is very good and rich in iron and other vitamins, vitamin A and B complex. So eating that and any green leafy vegetable is very healthy. And spinach is one of the vegetable which is rich in vitamins and minerals. Garlic is good. So during these times, including garlic in your diet, eating raw is even healthier because it is anti-inflammatory. Eating raw is even healthier because of its anti-inflammatory effect. And if you are adding in your cooking, it is even better. So you can add that. And green leafy vegetables are the best. In that, moringa is the one superfood I would recommend.
Okay. Dr. Halima.
I would say nuts and citrus fruits.
Nuts and citrus.
Citrus fruits and including amla. Amla, in fact, contains the highest amount of vitamin C in compared to all the other citrus fruits and food which is available. So amla and dry fruits. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to hear one question from each of you on the domain you are working. So, Dr. Shushma, when it comes to naturopathic diet, you are expert of it. What kind of things that you are guiding and prescribing patients right now?
Right now, what we have is first of all we would tell them to detoxify, themselves first. First, you have to have a detoxification diet. That is, how do you detoxify at home? You need to be on a fasting for 3 days. Fasting is not literally water fasting. It should be with juices, and it should be fresh fruit juice. Just fruits are good. So when you detoxify your system, that what happens? All the toxins will be flushed out. So this happens here with treatment, but at home it is not possible. If anybody knows about naturopathy treatment, it's well and good if you can make it, do it at home. Otherwise, 2 days fasting with fruit juices, not adding sugar, just fresh juices, whatever, like you get Mosambi, oranges, as aloe vera juice, amla, then you have kokum, you have different kinds of juices which really helps to detoxify your body. And it could be even an apple. So any one juice every 2 hours, not having too much of calories. So 3 days, if you fast, what happens? It flushes people. I'm talking about normal, healthy people. It flushes your toxins. You're hydrated and you're giving rest to the stomach. So once this is done, we do a soothing diet which compromises lots of spices and all that. You can have steamed vegetables, you can have fruits. After this, once you do the fasting process, you go into this kind of food. After this, what happens? You go to the constructive food where you give cereals and all other stuff like rice, brown rice and all that. So this is a process we follow here in naturopathy. But at home, it is difficult. So you can do, when you do a cheat diet, like say suppose 3 days, you have been eating very happily everything without taking care of your calories and all that. One day you can fast. So from morning till evening, you can go on a fasting with fruit juices and whatever seasonal available fruits are there. You can have a guava juice, You can have now you're getting grapefruit, you can have a grapefruit juice and all that. You really don't feel tired. Every 2 hours you have to have it. The next day you can go on a fruit diet. Then the third day you can go on a constructive diet. You can have a normal food. What happens is your system becomes alkaline. If you're eating all this junk foods, if you're not eating mindfully, what happens? All this food, which is residues are there, that becomes, the calories is being used up by the body and your blood becomes alkaline. So this kind of really helps to boost your immune system. So you have to, watch and do this. If you're healthy, you can do it. Otherwise, you need to talk to your dietitian. If you're diabetic or if you're having some other issues and all this, please talk to your doctors and dietitians.
Thank you, Dr. Sushma. So Kanika, while doing, teleconsultation and all, designing a plan for diet plans for the patients, what all things you keep in mind? If the patient or the person is having comorbidities, what all things that you keep in mind and what all you recommend them?
So basically, while we are dealing with any person, any individual, we need to place our ABCDs correctly. We need to take care of the anthropometric assessments, which is your height, your weight, what is the BMI, and the surrounding things. We need to assess the biochemical parameters, which is a normal analysis of your blood, urine, or other body tissues. We need to take care of the clinical aspects, which is a complete physical examination, medical history, a psychosocial history. And we need to take care of the dietary concerns as well, which involves, food and quantities consumed, the kind of eating habits the person has, the accessibility of food the person has, the cultural, the socio-economic factors, and what kind of food they select. Having said that, yes, these are a lot of, things, basic things, but we need to take care of the practical aspects of it. We can't really expect the person to, just we give a diet plan, say दिन में दाल खाना है, रात को पनीर खाना है. अब उसके घर में रात को पनीर नहीं बनता है, उसको नहीं अच्छा लगता. I need to take care of that. I can't just, one size won't fit all. One kind of diet won't fit all. Everybody has their own choices. Everybody has their own likes and dislikes. So it has to be very personalized. It has to be very customized. You need to involve the person, and that's how the success rate of that whole diet plan would come. See, everybody is intelligent enough. The customer these days is very intelligent enough. They will go to Google, they will Google a diet, they will start following it. But you need to understand what is it that they can do, what is it that they are willing to do, and what they just can't do. You need to take it step by step. So customization and personalization is the key here.
Absolutely, that's very important, customization, because otherwise the people who are different diseases, you can't give it to sugar or the salt intake accordingly. It has to be customized. So Dr. Halima, you are facing and consulting COVID patients. What all things you keep in mind during designing or prescribing them their diet?
See, first of all, we talk about their comorbidities, like if someone is hypertensive or diabetic or any food allergy that they have. It could be that the patient who are allergic to nuts, who are allergic to so many things, that we can't tell them, like as Dr. Kanika said, that we can't recommend the same size for all. It has to be tailor-made or personalization of each particular individual. So we keep in mind the comorbidities. We ask them about their allergies. We ask them about their particular, the sugar, the level of blood sugar. Even if they're diabetic, some people are on the borderline and very mildly diabetic. Maybe for them, we could allow a particular, maybe a kind of fruit which they like, or maybe I can allow them an apple a day. It depends. It depends on what kind of management that they're going through. Or if someone is on any particular medicine that can hinder any absorption of any particular nutrient or the thing which I'm going to give them. So keeping in mind all these things, I recommend them the diet and water intake and everything. The COVID panic is so huge that people are scared to take even the normal food on their own. At least now the education is high, people know, people are aware of it and things are okay. When we started off in March, it was so bad that, even before drinking 2 or 3 cups of water, I used to get a call. Is it okay? Safe to take? Is it safe to take this juice? Safe to
That
take
was
this
a
water?
completely different time altogether.
Yes, that was a time when people were actually in a high, I would say, a panic mode was set in every particular individual, and that too after detecting being positive. And they had their own questions about the thing they can eat, things they can't eat. In spite of me giving all the details, including the amount of time they need to spend on walking, the time they need to spend on reading, everything, yes, I would be very clear on giving them all the instructions, and in particular about their diet. As for people who are diabetic, I have totally told them no of sugar, no on any kind of rich fatty food, or even proteins for that matter, till the sugar is under control. Because if sugar is not under control, the kidneys stop functioning, and the protein load will not be taken by the body, and they can go into complications. So I would definitely recommend them diets based on their sugar values, based on their kidney functions, and based on the blood pressure which is going on. So with all this, tailoring a diet, tailoring a treatment is the key. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much once again, all of you. So we got a lot of insight. It was quite an insightful session. We got to know a lot about superfoods and healthy eating, mindful eating. So I think I will quickly summarize. We got to know a lot of 8 superfoods, which I would like to again, name them for our viewers: amla, citrus, nuts, turmeric, probiotics, moringa, and garlic, green leafy vegetables. One should have in their diet to keep healthy, and we should eat mindfully. We can have burgers, pizzas also, but made by millets, and the healthy grains that we can use, oats we can use, and add, and we can make our fussy eater also. We can make sure that they are eating healthy and getting right nutrition. So thank you once again, all of you, for lovely panel discussion.